Water damage is something no one wants in their home, but 9 times out of 10, it's not going to happen because of a natural disaster, but rather a leaky pipe or dripping faucet that happens slowly over time and goes unnoticed. But what if you have a water leak detector already? Will you be able to hear that leak detector when you're not home? That's where the Tapo Water Leak Detector T300 can help. If you thought Tapo just made smart lights and cameras, think again. I'm Wanderer 001. Let's get into it. Starting things off, just quick general specifications of the water sensor itself. It is 3.3 inches in length, has a height of 1.8 inches, and a depth of 1.2 inches. If we take a look at the top of the water sensor itself, it's very sparse in what you're going to see. There is your sync/setup button, and then you have 2 protruding contacts. Water needs to touch these in order for it to actually go off. And if I tip this sideways, you can see that it's contoured in so that water will actually collect at the contacts, allowing it to go off all that much easier, which is what you want. The contacts themselves need to have water across the 2 contacts, making a complete connection before it will go off. If we come to the side here, this is going to be our speaker. This is a very loud 90 decibel speaker, as you can see here. As we move our way to the bottom of the water sensor, you're going to see that there is a door right here. This is powered by 2 AAA batteries, which are included and have an estimated life of 3 years. So you're not gonna have to worry about where you place this for 3 years. You also have a set of 4 contacts for the bottom for the device to actually trigger. If I turn this to the side again, you'll notice right here, there are little feet that raise this off the floor. They are not rubberized in any way, shape, or form. They are plastic, but they give enough of a separation from a surface. So if you're putting this on concrete, well, concrete can get cold, can get moist. This will prevent the water leak sensor from going off without actually detecting real water, which is something that you want. So the contacts are up just enough that you need a little bit of water in there to actually set this off. But don't worry, they do not require all that much to set them off. In fact, if I just use my finger, which is slightly damp, you could see it goes off really quickly. The water sensor itself is IP67 rated, and that's going to be important because you're going to be placing this and using this in damp and wet areas. What I will say is you do not have to worry about placing this in a damp or steamy area. What I like to do is test water sensors out. In my bathroom, I take a very hot shower, steams the place up, make sure that the water sensor doesn't go off accidentally. In this case, it didn't. You don't have to worry. The operating temperature of the Tapo water sensor is 32 degrees up to 104 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a pretty generous range for what this is. The water sensor itself is not the only thing that we get. Let's take a look what else comes in the box with it. Quick start guide and the water sensor. That's it. With this being a smart device, that does mean that there is a setup process that you need to go through. But this is not a standalone smart device. It does require something like the Tapo hub here. And if you have other Tapo smart devices, you probably already have a hub. If you don't, they do sell them as a pair, but I will say, 1, the setup process between the 2 is not terrible, but 2, if you're going down this route, I would suggest picking up the Tapo hub because there's a plethora of other smart sensors that Tapo makes that would enhance your home aside from just a simplistic water sensor. But let's see what the setup of this was like. This will be set up for the Tapo Smart Water and Leak Sensor. Open up the Tapo app, come to the upper right hand corner, press the plus sign, add device. This is a sensor, so we'll come down here. Doesn't say that it's the water sensor, but if we come over, look at the box, it's the T300. Have to have a pre-existing hub, so I do have a hub. Next, we're going to flip it over and remove the battery cover, just like that. So we've removed it. Press and hold the button for 5 seconds. There we go. It's flashing. It is connected, so we give it a name next. Where is it going to be located? Basement. And we could pick a individual picture for it. I'll just leave it with the leak sensor. Check for firmware. No firmware. We're good. And there it is right there, leak sensor. So it's online and apparently very sensitive because I touched the contact sensor with my hand and it goes off. Good sign. As you saw, really easy, simple, straightforward to do. What separates this water sensor from other water sensors that don't have a hub? Well, that's the ability to be notified when you actually have water leaking into your house when you're not home. That and so much more can be found in the Tapo application. Let's take a look. This is the application for the Tapo Water Leak Sensor. Here we can see on the main page of all of my devices, we have our leak sensor right there, and it's giving me an indication of the last time that it went off, as well as its location. If I select the leak sensor itself, here we could see it will show me an event log, and I can filter this event log for specific actions. Well, right there I can't really filter because there's nothing really there. I can select view all, and it will tell me what has happened. So water leak solved, water leak detected, and there's a calendar so I can kind of come back through here. I don't want it to be going off, but if it did, it would show up here. Right above that, we could see that it's showing me the location as well as the battery and then the name of this item, because you don't have to call it Tapo Water Leak Sensor. I just happen to. If we scroll down, we have our smart actions. So if I select smart actions, it will let me do something. So in this case, if a water leak happens anytime, it would turn off a device. We also have the ability to turn on customized lighting. So I could select learn more, and it's talking about scenarios. So hypothetically, I could set up a smart action. So that's the one smart action that was predefined. Leak sensor turns off the plug, turns on a light, and then turns on a camera. Now I can set up one for automation, effective time. We're going to leave that as always. When, add a trigger, device change, water sensor, water leak detected, done. What will it do? We can add an optional if, but in my case, I'm going to add a then. So we're going to select control a device, and we're going to select basement light 1. We're going to turn it on. You could see you could plus the brightness, change it. You can color plus temperature, random color. So we're going to color plus temperature and then done, and then select create. Going to give it the name of test and hit save. If it detects water, it will have an action with the light. And I happen to have it right over here, and it's very sensitive. As you saw, right over there, it got brighter. That's because my Tapo light is right over there. So those are smart actions and automations that you could do. It's a great feature, especially if you have other Tapo devices. Coming down, we have our share settings. You can share this device. They will need their own Tapo account. Support center. For any information that you didn't find in this video, Tapo offers you support and documentation. And then favorites, we'll put it on that favorite page up front. I like it there because it's just easier to find. If we come to the top of our screen and select the sprocket icon, that's going to be the settings for the Tapo Smart Water Sensor. Right here, we could change the device icon, I can change the name, and I could change the location. I also have the ability to turn on and off notifications, or I could select what time I would like to receive them. In my case, for a water sensor, I want it all the time. But if you're only concerned about specific times, you have 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And then you could add a custom time if you so chose. Alarm volume, which is what we heard before, was on high. And selecting these will actually set off the alarm itself. So be forewarned. Effective range test. Coming down, we have user manual. Again, another location for that. Smart actions, another location for that as well. So here's that one that I set up before. It did also, if you noticed right here, had recommended. So that's the, hey, water leak, turn the washer off, turn on a light letting you know, and then turn on the camera so you can survey the damage. And then we have our device sensitive information in there, but it will show you the signal strength of the water sensor to your hub. And then we have our firmware. It's up to date. If it needs updating, that's where you could click to do so. And then we have remove if you wish to remove this water sensor from your Tapo application. And that has been everything that we can do for the Tapo Smart Water Sensor in the Tapo app. Now that we've seen what we can do, what's next? Well, for me, that's testing. It's important to make sure that this does what it says it's going to do. So what I'm going to show you is some water leak tests that I did for the top and for the bottom to make sure that it would go off and send me notifications. Let's take a look. This will be testing Tapo Water Sensor. What I can say is most of the time it is sensitive enough that just with my thumb, with the moisture there, it sets it off. So it doesn't take a lot to go off, but here I'll use a little bit of water from here and we'll see if we can get it to sound off. All right, so I got kind of up top there, kind of see that it's hanging out, but notice that it's only on one of contacts there. In order for this to work, you have to have water go across both the contacts. So there I have water on both contacts, but they haven't touched yet. There we go. I got it to touch. We're good. There we go. As little as that can set it off. Next, I will be testing the underside. I'll dribble a little water in here, get it close to the contacts, and see how much it takes to set off. Do a little bit at a time. Making a mess on my table. There we go. That set it off. I'm going to pick it up, dry that off, and show you just how little it actually needed to go off. So that's pretty good, all things considered. And then my sloppy mess over there. Notification speed test. There you go. On and off real quick. While I have been very impressed with the Tapo water leak sensor, there are a few cons that I want to bring to your attention. They're not terrible, but something to consider. The fact that this does require a hub to work, while it does help free up clutter on my Wi-Fi router, maybe you don't necessarily want to have a hub in your home. Granted, the Tapo Smart Hub that I showed you can support up to 64 Tapo devices, but if you're just looking for a water sensor to let you know, hey, there's a leak in your home, and you don't really care about getting notifications, you could get yourself a dumb water detector, but that kind of defeats the purpose of something like this. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. One other thing is the sound. The alarm that it makes is not a consistent chirping. It chirps for a while, fades out, chirps again, and then fades out. I've tested other water sensors where it's consistent. It's blaring. It lets you know that there is a problem and come and find me and turn me off. Yes, you get the notification, but I would prefer it if the sound was continuous, and that could be changed in a firmware update. Tapo, I'm looking at you. Next, because of its size, it is a little tall and might not fit into all of the locations that Tapo suggests that it could be used, such as under a washing machine, by a dishwasher, things of that nature. If you're trying to get this under something, it might be tricky depending on its height. Just again, food for thought, not a complete deal breaker. Those are the only 3 cons that I could come up with. That's saying something. While the Tapo water sensor does need an extra Tapo hub to work, if you are looking to build out a basic smart home or just want to expand on what you already have, a smart water leak detector is a must. I've tried several others in the past and can say that Tapo has been one of the most sensitive that I have tested, which is something you want. While it might not fit under lower profile areas, that is only a small issue, and the fact that it can be set up with other Tapo devices to alert you in other ways of a problem that you might be having makes it an easy recommendation for me. If this sounds like the water leak detector you've been looking for, I will have a link where you can pick one up for yourself in the description area below. If you appreciate the time and effort that goes in making comprehensive videos like this, make sure to hit that like button to help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here and want to be notified of my next review, hit that subscribe button. Still not sure if this is the right smart water leak detector for you? On screen now, you will see 2 other reviews that I've done to help you make a more informed decision for yourself.